Did the Houthis actually sink a U.S. aircraft carrier? Today we're debunking the viral myths and bot-driven fake news about the USS Cook, Chinese intervention, and why the Red Sea isn't a graveyard for the Navy. Last week, we spoke about the likelihood of Iran sinking the USS Lincoln or another carrier. You can go back and check that video out if you missed it. And there were a lot of people, I assume they were bots or consumers of fake news, who commented that the Russians sunk the USS Cook or that the Houthis sunk 2 aircraft carriers as well as other US Navy ships. They also brought up Russian and Chinese getting involved on Iran's side, as well as the possibility of a drone swarm. So let's go over these 4 things and make sense of them. Did Russia sink the USS Donald Cook? In 2014, Russian state media and various social media blogs claimed that a Russian Su-24 bomber paralyzed the ship's Aegis combat system with electronic warfare, and that the crew was so demoralized they resigned. In reality, the Russian aircraft did make several provocative and unprofessional low-altitude passes near the ship. The claims that the ship was disabled or sunk, metaphorically or physically, are entirely unfounded. The ship has completed numerous patrols since then, including recent operations in 2024 and 2025. Did the Houthis sink any US Navy ships or carriers? Since late 2023, the Houthis have launched hundreds of drones, anti-ship ballistic missiles, and cruise missiles at US Navy vessels. While these attacks represent the most intense naval combat the US has seen since World War II, the Navy's defensive systems have been highly effective. No US Navy ships have been sunk, and the Pentagon has confirmed that no Navy ships have even been struck or significantly damaged by a Houthi weapon. In early 2024, a Houthi missile reportedly came within 1 mile of the USS Gravely before being shot down by the ship's Close-In Weapon Systems, CIWS, which is the last line of defense. While they haven't hit a US Navy, the Houthis have successfully sunk few commercial vessels. The MV Rubimar, a UK-owned bulk carrier that sank in March 2024 after being hit by a missile, and the MV Tutor, a Greek-owned bulk carrier that sank in June 2024 after being struck by a Houthi unmanned surface vessel, also known as a sea drone. So, in that regard, no, the Houthis have not been successful. There was also rumors about them shooting down F-35s and F-15s and so on and so forth. All of that is untrue. No F-35s have been downed in the region. 1 F-15 was lost due to a pilot's accident on the aircraft carrier, nothing to do with enemy fire. 3. Russian and Chinese intervention on the side of Iran. While possible, this would be extremely unlikely because it would probably cause World War III and or World War IV to happen. Russia is too busy in Ukraine, especially considering how challenging it's been for them there. Everyone expected them to railroad Ukraine in 2 weeks. Well, that hasn't exactly happened. And China is busy internally with multiple high-ranking generals, I believe their highest-ranking general, arrested, as well as extremely poor economic situation. China's economy faces a 2-directional slowdown, a massive real estate crisis that has wiped out household wealth, and high youth unemployment, around 17%. Despite strong high-tech exports, mounting local government debt, and weak demand, annual GDP growth has slowed to a sluggish 4.5%. This is not the right time for either of them to go on adventures. And last, 4, a drone swarm attack. 2 reasons why it would fail. 1, the payloads are not large enough to sink a carrier. And 2, new technologies like the Odin nullify swarm drone threats. Odin is a specialized laser weapon system designed specifically to counter unmanned aerial systems, UAS, also known as drones. Odin doesn't melt the drone's wings or explode its fuel tank. Instead, it fires an intense beam of invisible infrared light at the drone's sensors and cameras. Because it's laser, it hits its target almost instantly, speed of light and all that, making it highly effective against fast-moving or maneuvering drones. While a traditional missile can cost $2 million, a shot from Odin costs only as much as the electricity used to power it. You mean in just a couple of dollars. Which was a concern in the past, a $1,000 drone versus a $1 or $2 million missile. But as of 2026, the Odin is no longer just a prototype. It has been installed on several of the Arleigh-Burke-class destroyers, which I remind you are part of every carrier strike group. So, the bots and fake newsers need to update their comments. But thank you for the ideas. It gave us something to discuss today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Additionally to all of that stuff and the aircraft carriers, also above and below the water levels, nothing moves in the Persian Gulf these days without the Americans seeing it. Since the Lincoln aircraft carrier entered the area of responsibility of U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, there has been an unusual and almost constant movement of Boeing P-8 Posiden aircraft. These aircraft, built based on the innocent 737 airframe, the kind that we all fly in to go on vacations, are some of the most lethal submarine and surface ship hunters in existence. With the help of a powerful APY-10 radar, the Posiden can detect even a small boat in a stormy sea or even the periscope of a submarine that has surfaced for a moment to try to peek through the waves. But its real trump card, pun intended, is the ability to detect submarines at great depths using a system of sonar buoys. The Posiden drops a network of such buoys into the sea in the form of a line or other defined area. When the buoy hits the water, a radio antenna opens from its upper part that transmits to the plane, and from its tower part, by means of a cable to a predetermined depth, an acoustic sensor that scans for submarines. In this way, the decoding team in the plane hovering over the sea receives a continuous picture of what is happening deep below the water. If, for example, an Iranian Ghadir-class submarine tries to leave the Gulf and approach the Lincoln, it will cross the line of buoys dropped by the Posiden, and it will locate it and lock onto it permanently, or simply destroy it by launching one of its torpedoes that it carries in its belly. The propaganda might be loud, but the facts are louder. The U.S. Navy remains the most protected force on the planet. Join us next time for more info, and keep praying for Iran, the Gaza Strip, the Kurds and the Druze, and of course Netivyah. And remember, your comments are important. Today's episode was an answer to them.